Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel. UFC Vegas 72, Song Yadong versus Ricky Simón took place earlier tonight, and this is going to be my UFC post-fight. I'm mainly going to break down and discuss the main event, Song Yadong versus Ricky Simón, but I'll also briefly discuss the rest of the main card. And honestly, outside of the main card, there wasn't a whole lot to get excited about. This card was lackluster on paper going into it, but sometimes these cards over-deliver. But this card, if you missed the prelims, don't go back and rewatch them. Consider yourself lucky. But starting off with the main event, we have Song Yadong versus Ricky Simón. Song Yadong gets a 5th round TKO in a great performance by Song Yadong. Going into this fight, my early prediction when this fight was first announced, I was going Song Yadong. I watched fight tape before I made my prediction video. I switched to Ricky Simón. And in this fight, I knew whoever dictated the forward pressure would win this fight because Song Yadong, when he's moving forward, fights very, very well. Ricky Simón, when he's moving forward, when he's aggressive, when his grappling is effective, he looks so good. And in this fight, exactly what happened. Song Yadong was able to dictate the forward pressure. Ricky Simón wasn't the Ricky Simón that I saw when I watched some of his old fights. He lost the fight. Song Yadong put on a masterclass. There was some controversy throughout this fight. We'll talk about it in a second. But basically, Song Yadong arguably won every round. Now, if you go through it round by round, the first round I thought was very close. I think he could have gave it to Ricky Simón. He was landing some jabs. I think he had like 2 takedown attempts in this round. They were stuffed. Song Yadong was a little bit tentative early. You could see he was kind of moving forward, but at a very slow pace, inactive on the feet. But then once he started to stuff those takedowns, he started opening up a little bit more towards the end of the round. He was landing some good leg kicks. There was one point in the fight in the first round where they were clinched up. Ricky Simón was trying to get takedowns, and Song Yadong was stronger than him in the clinch. And I thought this first round was razor close, but I slightly favored Song Yadong. I thought he landed the better shots, good leg kicks. Second round is where some of the controversy happened because this round was very close up until maybe 2 minutes into the round. There was a head clash that hurt Ricky Simón badly, dropped him, then he kind of got swarmed on the ground, then he got a takedown right after he got hurt badly. He was getting hit on the ground, he came up, clinched, got a takedown, but then it was like, instead of prioritizing control time, it's like he tried to move into full mount immediately, and Song Yadong just exploded up. So he got up, started landing better shots, started landing good combinations, started ripping to the body, and basically won the round that way. At the end of the second round, there was a takedown by Ricky Simón, shot through him, took him down, started throwing hammer fist. I was worried maybe the judges might score for him, but I thought there's no way they scored that for Ricky Simón, especially after he got dropped. Even though it was the headbutt, the ref didn't see it. The ref didn't stop it. The judges probably didn't see it. So second round was Song Yadong's in my opinion. Third round, this round was very close early. But then as the round started to go on, it seemed like Song Yadong was starting to pull away. Landing better shots, ripping to the body, pressuring, and just landing good leg kicks as well. Towards the end of the third round, I believe that's when Song Yadong was ripping a punch to the body, landed on the groin of Ricky Simón. So again, another foul. And then at the end of the round, he started to it looked like he was starting to feint some combinations, and he just led with his head. Headbutted Ricky Simón. It wasn't as bad as the second round, but then the round ended, and Simón was kind of complaining. It was like, that's the second time he's done that to me. Kind of another bit of controversy in the fight. Fourth round, another competitive round, but really you could just see Song Yadong's confidence building, landing good shots. He was winning this round. It was still competitive, but it was pretty clearly Song Yadong was winning. And then just to top it off at the end of the fourth round, he clips Ricky Simón with a picture-perfect left hook. Hurts him badly. Probably would have finished him in the fourth round, but he is saved by the bell. Comes out in the fifth round. Early in the fifth round, it was a minute and 10 into the fifth round. Again, lands a picture-perfect left hook. Starts swarming him. Ricky Simón looks like he's going to survive. Song Yadong, every time he starts to build back to his feet, Song Yadong starts just landing shots, drops him again. Then he starts to scramble back up. Herb Dean jumps in. I thought it was a fine stoppage, if anything, just a hair late. But I don't blame Herb Dean. That was really a bad sequence to try to decide when to step in there because he's landing big shots, but then Ricky Simón's jumping back to his feet. So it wasn't a horrible stoppage. I thought, and if anything, could have been stopped a little bit early. But I don't blame Herbert Dean in this case. And Song Yadong, I mean, arguably won every round. If you want to give Ricky Simón one round, it would be round 1, which was very close. But this was still a competitive fight. But what happened in this fight, and I knew going into it, whoever was moving forward would win this fight. And I started to see in that first round, they both were kind of tentative early, and then Song Yadong started to build his confidence and not worry about the takedown attempts. And he really just started landing good shots, and he kind of took over after that. And I know there was the headbutt, the head clash that dropped Ricky Simón, but I think we saw in this fight, Song Yadong was clearly the better fighter. The striking was better. He was so fast. His takedown defense was good. Even when he did get taken down, he popped right back to his feet. And I know it's easier said than done. But what I saw in this fight is Ricky Simón, once his takedowns were getting stuffed, he really just had nothing else to offer. All he did was pump a jab all fight. Didn't do anything else, just pumped the jab. And he was landing the jab repeatedly through every single round almost. He was landing the jab. And even at one point, he landed a really good, I think it was a straight left. I think it was in round 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly. But it was very rare he threw any other shots. He was just constantly throwing the jab. And Song Yadong, as he realized, look, I'm going to be able to stuff these takedowns, he just started marching him down. And Ricky Simón is known for his forward pressure, his aggression, his constant relentless pace. And he just wasn't willing to do it in this fight because Song Yadong is so fast, has nasty power, and he made him pay for it multiple times in this fight. Every time he did start to say, okay, I got to get aggressive here, Song Yadong would make him pay. And Song Yadong at 25 years old, I mean, rapidly improving, and he looked incredible in this fight against a stylistic matchup where it was like Corey Sandhagen mixed in the wrestling in their fight, and it was a very competitive fight against Corey Sandhagen, and ended up getting stopped by a cut, but I think Corey Sandhagen was on the path to victory anyway. But Corey Sandhagen used the wrestling to kind of have Song Yadong playing a guessing game in their fight and be able to land on the feet. And in this fight, Song Yadong against a guy in Ricky Simón who's primarily a grappler in my opinion, he showed excellent takedown defense. And even when he did get taken down, I think he got taken down once or twice actually, I think in the 3rd round. So the second round, at the end of the second round, he got the takedown. But then I think in the very beginning of the 3rd round, I might be mistaken, Ricky Simón shot through him dead center of the cage, and Song Yadong immediately got back to his feet, scrambled back to his feet. So Song Yadong still showed that he's rapidly improving. He's 25 years old. He has unbelievable experience. He's already fought great guys in Ricky Simón. He has a win over Marlon Chito Vera. And Song Yadong, striking looked good. His speed looked good. He looks so athletic. And he's still growing. That's what's crazy. The younger you are, I feel like the faster you learn and improve. Song Yadong may be a champion one day. Song Yadong may very well be a champion one day. I think there could be a very good chance right now you throw Song Yadong in there with Aljamain Sterling, he may beat him. Now, I'm not going to say I would definitely commit to that pick, but he looked incredible in this fight. He looked absolutely incredible in this fight. The speed was on point. The technical striking was on point. And you know, he made Ricky Simón look like he didn't really even belong in there. I know I said it was competitive, but it was like Ricky Simón seemed to almost, I don't want to say quit mid-fight, but it was like he didn't know what to do. He was like, I can't get the takedown. I'm not landing. I can't throw any big shots because I'll get countered. And now all I can do is just pump the jab and pump the jab and pump the jab. And that's all he did. He landed some jabs. But that's really all that Ricky Simón did in this fight. Song Yadong looked incredible. The takedown defense looked incredible. The striking looked incredible. The power looked incredible. The stamina looked incredible. Both guys' stamina looked very, very good. And I think Song Yadong, had Ricky Simón not been saved by the bell in the 4th round, it would have been over. It would have been over. He would have finished him in the 4th round. But what's crazy is these guys were originally supposed to fight last week. It was supposed to be a 3-round co-main event. Now they get moved to a main event spot. It's a 5-round fight. Song Yadong's cardio looked great in the 5th round. Ricky Simón even looked good in the 5th round. So you have two guys who took a 5-round fight on short notice and still had decent cardio all the way up to the 5th round. And Song Yadong gets the finish. And throughout this fight, it's not like he was just throwing the hands, because Song Yadong in the past, I feel like, has been too in love with his hands. In this fight, he was chopping the legs of Ricky Simón, chopping the calf. There was a massive swelling on the calf and the shin of Ricky Simón. And also what I loved about this performance from Song Yadong, constantly ripping to the body over and over and over again. Just landing nasty hooks to the body of Simón. And I think this was a great performance. I can't wait to see where he goes from here. I think he has a very bright future in an absolutely stacked bantamweight division. The only thing I can say, it's a little bit disappointing. You have the nasty groin shot with a punch. You have the head clash that hurt Ricky Simón in the second round, and then you have the head clash in the third round that didn't really affect much, but it was just like he was leading with his head. It almost looked like the Bobby Green, Jarrett Gordon finish from last week, where he kind of just lead it with his head in the third round. But I don't think those were big enough moments that it's going to overshadow the performance. And I think the best thing that ever happened to Song Yadong was he didn't get that finish in the second round. Because had he got the finish in the second round, it would have overshadowed the performance, because we'd have been like, oh, well, he got headbutted. That's the only reason he got the finish. Now, Ricky Simón survived that second round head clash. And I know you can say it affected him and caused him to fight differently, whatever you may say. But we got to see a prolonged fight, and we got to see Song Yadong's skills on display. And his skills look incredible. I think they could hold up against the top of the division. I would love to see Song Yadong take a massive jump in the rankings. I think Song Yadong will probably, currently right now he's sitting at number 8. He might jump up to number 5. He has a win over Marlon Vera. Marlon Vera is sitting at number 5. He hasn't fought Rob Font, who's sitting at number 6. You could book Song Yadong versus Rob Font next. That'd be a fun fight. I mean, there's so many great bantamweights. You could literally pick names out of a hat and book fights, and any of them would be incredible. You could book Song Yadong versus Rob Font. You could book Song Yadong versus Dominic Cruz. You have the Team Alpha Male rivalry there. You could book Song Yadong versus Marlon Vera too. When they first fought years ago, it was a very controversial decision that Marlon Vera thought he won. You could book him against Piotr Jan. He just fought Corey Sandhagen, so that doesn't really make sense right now. You could book him against Sean O'Malley, who's sitting at number 2. You could book him against Merab Dvalishvili. All these fights are incredible. He called out Sean O'Malley, and he also called out, who else did he call out? I'm trying to remember. I think he called out Marlon Vera afterwards. Yeah, he said, Marlon Vera, you're not happy with the decision. Let's fight. I love either one of those matchups. Now, I think Sean O'Malley is just going to hide and just wait for his title shot, and he's just training his wrestling. He may not fight until next year. He's coasting off that brutal robbery win over Piotr Jan back at UFC 280. But I'd love to see Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. I think that'd be a very fun fight. And, I think Sean O'Malley could win that fight. The way Ricky Simón was landing that jab over and over again, Sean O'Malley has very good straight punches, and they have power on him as well. I would absolutely love to see that fight. That's a fight we could see for a title in the future. There's real possibility Song Yadong, Sean O'Malley could be champions in the future. I think Song Yadong, in my personal opinion, I think has more potential just because of the level of competition we've already seen him against. But that is a fight that I would kill to see. I'm happy he called out Sean O'Malley, but I would really love to see him against any of those guys. Even a Corey Sandhagen rematch in the future. That fight was close. And I think Corey Sandhagen was going to win, but then you had the elbow. He was cut open. It was a doctor stoppage because of the cut. Who knows what would have happened in that 5th round? Some people were saying it was 2-2, but this was a great fight. For Ricky Simón, disappointing performance. I mean, if you're getting clipped with shots anyway, and I know this is easier said than done, rushing in on Song Yadong, but if you're getting clipped with shots and you're moving backwards, you're getting your legs chopped, you're getting your body beat up, you're getting caught with left hooks, you got to change something. And I know towards the end, I think it was in the 4th round, he shot in like 3 consecutive takedowns and just got stuffed. But you're not throwing any combinations. Song Yadong saw it coming from a mile away. Song Yadong's sprawls were on point in this fight. His takedown defense looked like it improved since the Corey Sandhagen fight. And I know Corey Sandhagen didn't get him down a lot. I think he got him down like 1 time. But against a guy like Ricky Simón, who's usually relentless, and even when he did get him down, I think he got him down twice in this fight, he popped right back to his feet. So, amazing performance from Song Yadong. Ricky Simón, where does he go from here? Just off the top of my head, book him against Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez just lost to Pedro Munoz. That was supposed to be kind of his come up into the top 10 of the division. Just lost to Pedro Munoz. I think you book Ricky Simón versus Chris Gutierrez. I think it makes a lot of sense. But a masterclass performance from Song Yadong. Can't wait to see who he fights next. Moving down the card, the co-main event, Caio Borralho versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. And in the beginning of this fight, it looked like it wasn't going to be good for Caio Borralho because Oleksiejczuk was moving forward, landing good hard body shots, landing good lunging power left hands, and Caio was eating them. And he was eating them. He wasn't getting rocked, but it was like, okay, he can really lose this fight. Most people were picking Caio in this fight, but he had a legitimate chance to lose this fight. After I saw like the first 2 minutes of the first round, I was like, okay, he may very well get clipped and finish in this fight, but it just seemed like the power shots had no effect on him. He was eating them. He wasn't really, stunned. He wasn't really rocked. And then towards the end of the first round, he started to come on a little bit stronger, landing some good punches, landing some good leg kicks. The last minute of the round, he got a takedown, started landing some good ground and pound, kind of had his back with, I think, one hook in. And towards the end of the round, he started landing nasty knees to the body. Second round starts up. He gets a takedown, shoots through him, immediately starts moving in the mount. Michal Oleksiejczuk gives up his back, and then Caio Borralho gets the rear naked choke. Great performance by Caio, honestly. Faced a little bit of adversity. Looked good. In the first round, there were some takedowns he shot for that he wasn't able to get and ended up in a clinch position. Oleksiejczuk would work out of him. And, it looked like, okay, it may not go his way. And then towards the end of that first round, and then in that second round, he's like, okay, I got him now. He's not as explosive as he was early in the first round. I took him down at the end of the first. I'm going to take him down again in the second. He takes him down in the second. And once he took him down, I think Oleksiejczuk worked back to his feet up against the fence, but then he immediately took him back down again and immediately started working into the mount and immediately started working for the rear naked choke. Softened him up with some punches, but really once he got him to the ground in the second round, it was a wrap, basically. It was a wrap. He was able to get a rear naked choke. Looks super impressive, and now he's on a very good streak in the middleweight division, and we need contenders in the middleweight division because Israel Adesanya needs some new challenges. And I'm not saying Caio Borralho is going to be jumping into the mix anytime soon, but he deserves a top 15 ranked opponent. And honestly, right now, I favor Caio Borralho versus Dricus du Plessis. I think he beats du Plessis. I'm confident that he beats du Plessis. His striking looked good. His fight IQ looked good. His jiu-jitsu and his wrestling we already know is very good. And I know Oleksiejczuk isn't the top of the food chain or anything like that, but this was a very good test for Caio, and he passed it with flying colors, and he even faced a little bit of adversity in this fight. So solid win for Caio Borralho. I want to see him in a top 15 fight in his next fight. I'm not sure who it would be against right now. Pretty much everyone seems booked up right now, but you could book him against an Andre Muniz. I think that kind of makes a lot of sense, and I would like to see that matchup. So maybe that's what they book next, but I need to see him fighting someone in the top 15 next. Moving down the card, Rodolfo Vieira versus Cody Brundage. What a fight. What a fight. Cody Brundage looks like he's going to finish Rodolfo Vieira early, landing good shots, exiting the clinch, defending takedowns, drops Vieira towards the end of the first round. Looks like he's going to finish him with ground and pound. And then it seems like he kind of stalls out a little bit, and then Rodolfo Vieira kind of gets control of him, but there's only 45 seconds left. Lands some good ground and pound the end of the round, but Cody Brundage survives on the ground with Rodolfo Vieira and had hurt him badly, had busted him up, had cut him, he was bleeding. Going into the second round, it was like, okay, now what's going to happen? Because Cody Brundage was landing on the feet, but then he got out-grappled towards the end when he followed him to the ground. Rodolfo Vieira shoots in on a takedown early in the second round. He doesn't get it. Cody Brundage defends it up against the fence. Then all of a sudden, Cody Brundage says, you know what? I got a great idea. I'm fighting a guy who's a world-class jiu-jitsu submission artist. Let me pull a guillotine on him. Let me pull him down on top of me with 4 minutes to go in the round. He pulls him down on top of him. It's the beginning of the end. Immediately, basically, Vieira starts working out of the guillotine. It was never tight. He was never in his full guard. Works out of it. Immediately starts setting up an arm triangle. And then, Cody Brundage kind of gives up his back, gets out of the arm triangle. But then he realizes, okay, I don't want to give him up my back. Goes back to his back flat on the canvas. Gives up the arm triangle. Gets submitted in the second round. Good win for Rodolfo Vieira to face the adversity in the first round, but Cody Brundage at this point, what is he, 8-4? It is what it is. This fight is kind of meaningless to the division, but Rodolfo Vieira went out there, faced adversity early, got the submission in the second round. It was a fun fight while it lasted. Cody Brundage's fight IQ, he should be cut alone just for his fight IQ. Horrible decision-making. Moving down the card, Fernando Padilla versus Julian Erosa. Now, this is where we get into some horrible refereeing. Christopher Tioni. Horrible, horrible stoppage. I do kind of understand it, but I think we're whitewashing it a little bit. Julian Erosa got flash KO'd, came back to, got back up, then got clipped up with combinations again, fell down again, but his eyes were still locked on his opponent, and he started circling out. And that's when Chris Tioni starts to jump in. Did it affect the outcome? Fernando looked like he was going to piece him up regardless, but I think it was a horrible stoppage by Chris Tioni. I don't know why he jumped in when he did. I understand there was moments where Julian Erosa looked like he was finished, but when Chris Taglioni jumped in, he was circling around with his eyes locked on his opponent. Horrible stoppage. I think a lot of people are defending it just because Erosa was in bad trouble earlier, within the last 30 seconds before that. But that's not how it's supposed to work. I want to give him a little bit of sympathy in terms of the referee and his decision making, but I just think this was one of the worst stoppages. Like if you zoom in real quick and you just look at the stoppage itself, you don't look at anything before it. And I know that's kind of, really just playing revisionist history. It was one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. Now, would it have affected the outcome? I think Padilla probably would have finished him anyway. But I'd have liked to have seen it gone on. I think Julian Erosa could have worked out of it, could have maybe won. But savage win for Fernando Padilla. I mean, his hands look crisp. His accuracy looked crisp. But what is Julian Erosa doing coming back after 2 months after getting KO'd by Alex Caceres? Horrible decision-making by him. Horrible decision-making by his manager. And he paid for it. And now he's been finished in the last 2 months twice brutally. And I know I said it was an early stoppage, but I'm saying he took a lot of damage at this point, and I don't think his chin was fully recovered. So I think Padilla would have eventually finished him anyway, but that doesn't excuse the stoppage. Moving down the card to the second fight that was on the main card, Marcos Rogério de Lima versus Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Both these guys are bums, but it's in the heavyweight division. De Lima looked good early, just brutally chopping the legs. Acosta doesn't know how to check a leg kick. De Lima just beat up his legs. I think he won the first 2 rounds, and then he stopped throwing leg kicks, and then Acosta was landing good shots in the 3rd round. So it's 29-28 De Lima. Both guys I don't ever care to see fight again, to be quite honest. Their gas tanks are horrible. I know it's the heavyweight division, but the gas tanks are horrible. Moving down the card, Trey Waters versus Josh Quinlan. Josh Quinlan looked incredible in Dana White's Contender Series. Then we found out that he had some type of performance-enhancing drugs in his system. Then he fights Trey Waters on like a week's notice. Trey Waters is the one that stepped in on a week's notice. Josh Quinlan was supposed to fight someone on this card. He looked horrible. He got picked apart. Trey Waters' striking the counters were unbelievable. Quinlan really couldn't touch him in this fight. Trey Waters picked him apart. If he had a little bit more power, I think he would have finished him. But he rocked him quite a few times. The only thing I could say about Trey Waters is he didn't have the killer instinct. When he did hurt him, he wouldn't go for the finish. And I think that was because he wasn't in the greatest shape because he took this fight on only like a week's notice, couple days notice. But he was picking him apart. Every time Quinlan tries to close the distance, he was getting pieced up. And he just didn't have any sense of urgency. And I understand, he's running into counters left and right. But I wonder if, he was cheating for a while and that's why he looked so good. And now he's off the PEDs and now he's not looking particularly good. Trey Waters picked him apart. Absolutely picked him apart. This is one of those performances. This was a 30-27, and he absolutely pieced him up. Every time Josh Quinlan moved in, he was eating a right hand. He was eating a hook. He was eating a kick. It was a great performance by Trey Waters on short notice, and I'm curious, how would he have looked? He probably would have finished Quinlan if he had a full camp for this fight. So great win by Trey Waters. But Josh Quinlan, kind of a question mark. Was it the PEDs kind of fueling his success? But that's the entire main card. The prelims were garbage. Do me a favor, guys. If you enjoy these post fights, don't forget to like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Anyway, that does it. Song Yadong, world-class performance at UFC Vegas 72. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.